For the bottom, we're using a heavy density foam. This should last quite a few years before having to be replaced. The sash can now be replaced, and the window stops go back on. The window is now about 80 to 90% as tight as a new window.
Every window and door?
Wherever there's trim.
Well, that would be hideous.
Your friends won't notice.
I will.
Take a look at the window that Brian just finished. Do you see any weather stripping there?
No, not really.
That's the difference between us, Mrs. Jordan. You talk cosmetics. I talk heat loss. Plug and socket gaskets would earn my respect as well.
Plug and socket gaskets? Isn't that a little extreme? I don't know how much more of this I can take.
Plug and socket gaskets on exterior walls must be sealed. I know this is difficult for you.
So many things.
Is it too much for you?
No. I can handle it.
Now let's talk about your attic.
My attic?
Your attic.
What about it?
Fully insulated?
I think so.
12 inches?
I'm not sure.
Your attic door.
Oh. Uh-oh.
All right, Mrs. Jordan, let's get to it.
The insulation looks good.
Looks can be deceiving. You know, some insulation companies don't air seal at all. Oh, they might come up, blow in some insulation, but then they leave. They don't stick around to do the job properly.
I suppose you're the type of guy that sticks around.
You see that chimney? Very few companies actually take the time to air seal around that and other penetrations into the attic area. I think this is a job for Brian.
When you're working in your attic doing air sealing and having to lift up existing fiberglass or rock wool bats, be sure to wear a tight-fitting mask. By lifting up the fiberglass bats and looking underneath, signs of dirt will tell you where there's been air leakage. Warm, moist air has left the house and been filtered by the fiberglass bat before it's come up to the attic and possibly out the vents. Below here is a top plate with wiring holes in that, and this is where the dirt has come from. Filtered air leaving your house. In most older houses, the plumbing stack is one of the worst areas. By lifting the fiberglass bats here and having a look down, you can see quite a sizable hole that goes right down to the basement. This is a bad air leak. Again, the dirt around the fiberglass bat tells you. In this case, we'll need a little bit of carpentry work to fill in the larger part of the hole, and then a little bit of expanding foam to fill around the four corners of the square hole. This house is currently being rewired. As you can see, many more wires are going down through the top plates into the walls. Each one of these should be sealed with a bit of caulking. Tops of octagon boxes which support light fixtures below should be sealed around the edges and around all the holes also. The space around the chimney, called the chimney chase, goes from the attic right down to the basement in this two-story house. Warm air is rushing up through this all times of the year, especially the winter. To seal this, basically you have to get a piece of angled metal and then caulk along the framing alongside the chimney, piece in place, and then caulk back in behind the metal here. Let it sit. Use a high temperature silicone for this job. The old attic hatch in this house has had it. It's cracked, it's been leaking air for years. The new attic hatch has been cut to fit. It will be installed with at least 4 inches of styrofoam insulation over its top. This will be adhered to the hatch with construction adhesive. Before installing the attic hatch in its final resting place, the ledge that it sits upon should be weather stripped also.
Have you placed 4 inches of rigid insulation on the upper side of your attic hatch?
No, but it's not an outside wall.
Oh, for this to work, Mrs. Jordan, it is necessary for you to consider your attic hatch an exterior door.
Okay, which suggests
4 inches of rigid insulation and weather stripping. Mrs. Jordan, once this house is sealed for air leaks, it will reduce your impact on global climate change. How does that make you feel?
Proactive. Very proactive.
You'll also save money. But we're not out of the woods yet. We still have to deal with the moisture. Your kitchen and your bathroom. Now that your house is tighter, we'll need good ventilation.
Ventilation? We've just sealed everything and now we need to vent?
You bet. Follow me. Mrs. Jordan, do you know your kitchen and bathroom sweat just like you do?
I beg your pardon?
It's not pretty to think about, but there it is. We use fans to get rid of the sweat, otherwise it starts to smell.
Well, I won't let that happen.
Then better to use good fans, like the kind Brian has.
Once a house has been air tightened, it needs good ventilation in bathrooms and kitchens to remove moisture. In ventilation, you get what you pay for. Cheap paddle wheel fans do not have the power to move any volume of moisture and air out of the house. Squirrel cage fans, on the other hand, have power and are actually quite quiet.
Goodbye, Mrs. Jordan. Your house is tight. Our work is done.
You're so fast. How do you do it?
All in a day's work for clean Nova Scotia.
Inspector Fresh, thank you for everything.
You've been swell, kid.
Will I ever see you again?
There are so many houses that need to be saved out there, Mrs. Jordan. So long.